In this example, we'll walk through how to create an animated OTP input field with proper validation, styling, and UX details like focus handling and feedback. All right, so before we dive into the UI, let's talk about the functions that control how it behaves. First, stroke color. It just decides what color the border around each box should be. If you type the wrong code, it flashes red. If the code is right, it turns green. And while you're typing will be primary, else will be invisible. Stroke width. This one just decides how thick the border should be. When there's an error or correct code, or when a box is active, we show a visible 2-point border for all of the boxes. Otherwise, it disappears. And then there's the validate function. This is where the real check happens. Once the user finishes typing all the digits, we compare what they wrote with the actual code. If it matches, we set is success to true and stop the user from typing more. And then after a short delay, we toggle done to show the check mark. If the code is wrong, we quickly flash red, clear the input, and bring the focus back so they can try again. We have this invisible text field. It doesn't show anything on screen because the opacity is almost 0, but it's still there, it's doing all the work behind the scenes. When the user taps anywhere on the OTP view, we bring focus to this field, and that's where the numbers actually go when they type. We set the keyboard to number pad, so the user only sees digits, no letters, just numbers, and then we use focused so we can control when the keyboard should show up or disappear. Then comes the important part, the onChange block. Every time the user types something, we check the new value. If they type too many digits, we cut it down to the max number we want. For example, if it's a 4-digit code and they try to type 5, we just take the first 4 and ignore the rest. And once they've typed exactly the right number of digits, we call validate to check if the code is correct. Any layout switches between H-stack and Z-stack depending on whether the code is correct. If it's correct, we use Z-stack to collapse everything and show the checkmark. Otherwise, it stays in H-stack to show the digits side by side. This part figures out which box is currently active, the one the user is typing into. If the user has typed all digits, we highlight the last box. Otherwise, we highlight the one matching the number of digits typed so far. Then we check a few conditions. The field has to be focused. The box has to be the current one. And there should be no error or success state active. If all that is true, this box is active and gets a visible cursor. This is the visual box for each digit. Inside the Z-stack, we draw a rounded rectangle as the background. Then, if the user has typed enough digits to reach this index, we show the number inside, but if the code is correct, we hide the number by setting the opacity to 0, so we can show the check mark instead. Here, we just add a rounded rectangle with a stroke. That's the border for the box. The color and width come from the functions we already explained. Then we add the small vertical rectangle to act like a blinking cursor, just to make it feel like a normal text field when it's active. This overlay is for the checkmark. Once the code is correct, we show a checkmark with a little drawing animation. And for the 3D ball, I have already created before, so you can check out this video.